Good afternoon, everyone. A very warm welcome to KooConnect 2025. My name is Jacqueline, and I'm honored to host you guys this afternoon. Today, we have principals, head of departments, and teachers joining us from Singapore, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Indonesia, the Philippines, and many others. It's wonderful to see all of you gathered together with one purpose, which is to inspire the learning for the next generation. Since KooConnect brings together an international family of educators, let me start with a special multilingual greeting to celebrate our global community. 各位校长、主任、老师们下午好，欢迎大家参加 KooConnect 2025教育盛会。很荣幸今天能和各位教育同仁一起相聚與交流。各位校長、主任、老師大家好，歡迎大家今日出席 KooConnect 2025，希望大家可以喺今日嘅活動得到新嘅啟發，一齊為學生帶嚟更好嘅學習體驗。Selamat sore, Bapak dan Ibu Guru yang terhormat. Senang sekali bisa berkumpul bersama untuk berbagi inspirasi dan semangat belajar. It's amazing to see the diversity and dedication in this room. Today's session is about connecting, learning, and shaping the future of education together. We will be sharing exciting updates across math, science, and our newly launched subjects, English and Chinese, as well as introducing the latest innovations at KooBits. We have prepared a great lineup sharing from our product team and learning specialists, covering everything from language learning, AI enhancement, and new teacher tools to how we are shaping the future to learning together. So without further ado, let's begin with our first speaker, Mr. Stanley Han, who will kick us off with a look at the language learning and Chinese and how we are introducing language as part of the new teacher premium experience.
A very good afternoon, a big welcome to everyone for attending our KooConnect event 2025. We have with us today the school leaders, teachers, parents, communities, as well as our partners in the region. Thank you for coming. We are all partners in education, and we know that education is a very special industry. In our industry, our effort today can only be truly measured 10 or 20 years from now. Therefore, we have to constantly predict how the future will look like for our children and to prepare them to succeed when they grow up. For example, now the AI wave is coming, and we don't know how the world will turn out to be in 10 or 20 years. And we constantly ask ourselves this question: what shall we do to prepare our children for this unknown future? Do they need to learn coding or prompt engineering now? Or is there such a thing called the AI skills that we need to teach them today? My personal belief is that we are living in a very fast-changing, ever-evolving environment. Therefore, we need to focus more on the fundamentals for our children. Just like what our national curriculum have highlighted, we need to teach our children problem-solving skills through the learning of math and science. And we also need to equip them with very strong language skills so that they can communicate, learn the new technology when they grow up. So that with all these fundamentals, they can eventually adapt and evolve together with the very fast-changing environment. We started with KooBits Math in Singapore 10 years ago, and we launched KooBits Science about 2 to 3 years ago. In the last 12 months, we have launched our KooBits language products. Last year, we launched KooBits English, and recently, we launched KooBits Chinese. My team is super excited to share with you the upcoming features and the development of these two language products. But before we do that, I just want to share a little bit of the story behind the building of the KooBits language products. It actually started with my daughter went to primary 1 in 2023. Initially, I thought my daughter had no problem with language subjects. Because first of all, we speak Chinese at home since she was young, and she loves reading. Everywhere she goes, she has a book with her, and she loves reading. Until when she go to primary school, and the results come back, and then the reality check kick in. I realized there's far more things we need to do to help the children with the language learning. For example, in a recent family trip to China, when my family checked in the hotel, my daughter saw this interesting Chinese sign. It says that free ice cube. Please take the free ice cube for a drink. The first thing my daughter asked me is, Daddy, where's the rabbit? Where's the rabbit? I was super confused. Like, where's the rabbit? Why suddenly she mentioned about this thing, rabbit? Then only I realized she was confused about the word 兔子的兔 and 免费的免. Because in school she only learned 兔子. And when she saw this shape that looked like a 兔子, and she thought it's a rabbit. And that's something that I started to realize, actually there are a lot of proficiency gap in her learning of Chinese as a second language in school. Therefore, there's an array of problems we're trying to solve when we're trying to develop the KooBits language product. For example, for a lot of kids who learn language as a second language, they don't have an environment, a speaking environment at home. They lack of this daily exposure to the language. And a lot of children, because of that, they are not proficient. They lack of motivation. They see that language, for example, like Chinese, as something that's very, very scary to them. And they also have a lot of knowledge retention problems when they don't use the language very frequently. They learn something from school and they couldn't memorize it well. And after a while, they forget about it. So with all of this, we are about to kind of conceptualize how we're going to solve these problems. Usually at the KooBits, before we design the product, we want to put ourselves into the shoes of the user. Right? If we were to build a language product, personally, because I'm also wearing the hat of the chief product officer in the company, I want to have this feeling of how does it feel to learn a completely new, difficult language in an environment that we don't have a lot of opportunity to speak about it, right? So because of Chinese is my native language, and I learned English for my work, so I want to relive that experience. So the method I choose is to self-learn a new language without a teacher, just to put myself in the shoes again of the learner and see what kind of difficulties they face. So the language I chose to learn is Thai language, because Thai language is very different from Chinese and English. And my previous language skill won't help me to get this thing, get the learning of Thai language easier. So in the first attempt, when I learned the Thai language, I dig out all the grammar rules and all the alphabets and symbols of Thai language. I'm trying to memorize all of this. It's such a painful experience. I quickly gave up within a week. Right? I couldn't memorize all of these strange characters that's unfamiliar to me. The next attempt, I went to YouTube online, right? I started to learn all the useful phrases, like "Sawadee krap," "Hong Rang Yu Ti Nai," "Where's the toilet?" And all of this, I tried to memorize the useful sentences. At the beginning, I made some progress. I feel that, hey, I can speak a sentence. But after I learned more sentences, I realized I have a huge knowledge retention problem. I couldn't remember all of them really well. So in about 6 weeks' time, I feel like super frustrated and defeated. Then I told myself, this is likely the feeling of a young child and when they learn the second language and when they couldn't make sense of it, and that's very likely how they would feel at the beginning. I give you an example. Now I'm going to teach you a few Thai words. All right, which if you pick up any language learning app, probably they will teach you travel, they will teach you food, right? So these are the vocabulary for travel and food. Ask you to learn the word luggage, immigration form, reception, and for food, just to learn potato, squid. I'll give you 5 seconds. Right? You can even take a photo of this and try to memorize these words. And later on, I will come back to these points. How you can memorize this a bit better, right? So after 6 weeks of learning Thai language, I feel I was getting really stuck there. So I want to get some inspirations from the ultimate self-directed learner, which is AI. All right? AI learns everything by itself. It doesn't have a teacher to teach apart from the data. So I took this approach and this inspiration from AI. I was wondering if I could learn the language in the same way the machine learns informations. So at the beginning, I thought, what is the input that goes into the machine's brain? That's only the pure data. Right? So I started to build very clean data sets. And in this case, we have a vocabulary in Thai and we have an image that signal the meaning of this vocabulary, and there's a pronunciation to teach me how this vocabulary will pronounce. That's all the information I need to fit into my brain. So I built about a few thousand of such vocab cards. And I start to do the daily exercise of trying to memorize some of these every day. At the beginning of the first 2 weeks, I was just having fun to memorize these words, because once I know one word, I can say one word. I kind of feel it's pretty useful. But after 2 weeks, something very interesting happened. My brain, looking at a lot of this vocabulary, they start to pick up a pattern. For example, in the words I've seen on this screen, my brain will suddenly realize of some group of these words, they share a common root word. Right? After I notice this common root word, I start to get the meaning of this root word. In this case, the root word is called nam. It means water. Suddenly, my brain starts to make sense of a lot of other vocabularies that involving this root word. For example, plain water is non-blau. Blau means nothing. If nothing in the water, it's plain water. Right? If there's water in the room, hong nam, it means toilet. If the mother is water, ma nam is a river. Right? If the water becomes hard, kang is hard. Nam kang means ice. And if the water falls down, nam dot means it's a waterfall. Similarly, for other group of vocabularies, I learned another root word came to my mind, which is zai. Zai in Thai means heart. So suddenly, one whole new group of vocabulary start to make sense to me. If something come to your heart, kao zai, kao means come, means you understand something. Therefore, you always hear people say kao zai mai, means do you understand? Right. If your heart is good, zai di means you are kind. If your heart need to be cool, zai yan yan means people want you to calm down, zai yan yan, zai yan yan. Right. If your heart is damaged, xie zai means you are sorry for something. So with this knowledge of this root word, suddenly my brain start to connect the dots. And they are able to make sense of a lot of vocabularies and its meaning without hard memorization, without rote learning. And similar approach is actually used to learn pronunciation. Right? At the very beginning, when I just see all these alphabets and how they're going to pronounce and all the rules, it's very hard for me to memorize all of this. But simply with the brain connecting the dots, now I don't need to memorize all of them. The brain will pick up the pattern. For example, speak means put, chili, prick, pepper, prick Thai, father, Paul. Just by listening to the pronunciation of these vocabularies, my brain will deduce this W-looking weird shape of character probably pronounced P. Right? Well, so when I encounter a new vocabulary, actually I can pronounce it even without memorizing the pronunciation rules. And that actually helps the brain to easily form a certain mental structure to evaluate and learn more information easily. So after I gone through this experience, I was super excited. Did I discover something that's completely new and innovative of learning new things? It turned out it's not. It's a pretty well-developed science and how humans and experts master any new set of knowledge and information. In this very interesting book, which is one of my favorite books, inside the book it talks about very, very interesting method. It's called the deliberate practice. It basically talks about you need to have this set of very clean training activities and constantly getting feedback whether you are right or wrong in these training activities. Then once you get enough of practice and you get comfortable with this, you need to expand your activities. And eventually your mind, your brain will form these mental structures and representations to help you to learn even faster. So we are trying to practice, to put this framework into the practice of learning of new languages, especially a second language for the children. Another important insight from my personal experience of learning a new language is the learning of root word. It's super helpful for learning a new language. And basically, language are invented and built up largely in a sequence from history until now. The order of vocab learning make a huge difference. So do you remember these 5 words, Thai words just now I want you to try to memorize? right? And even you look at your photos right now, you close your eye, you probably will forget about these 5 words. It's simply because you try to memorize these 5 vocabulary out of any sense of context. So now I'm going to teach you a new way of learning these 5 vocabularies in a much easier way. Because most of the common approach to learn vocabulary is by themes today. And usually by modern themes, like travel, like eating food, go to restaurant. And this makes the memorization very difficult because the vocabulary in the modern themes are not actually connected to each other in a very constructive way. By learning luggage, this Thai word, does not help you to learn immigration form any easier. By learning potato, it doesn't help you learn squid, right? So, but if we reconstruct the order of learning of languages, suddenly it makes a difference. For example, immigration form. If we break down the immigration form into 5 parts of a smaller vocabularies that actually builds to these big vocabularies, it actually means immigration form is a type of check on a person who entered the country. Right? Because when I learned Thai language, I learned the 5 individual words first. So when I learned the immigration form, it didn't cost me like 5 seconds to remember this word at all. Right? There's another word which is I'm going to show you as an example, which is squid. Again, squid, this word comes from 2 root words. The first part is called milk, which means ink. The second one is called glay, which is a banana. So squid to Thai people is basically a banana that eject ink. Right? That's very descriptive for them. Right? So once you learn these 2 words, before you learn squid, you will memorize them much easier. So these are the insights I personally drew from just my personal experience. So right now, personally, after 1.5 years of self-learning Thai, I personally have about 3,000 Thai vocabularies right now. I don't go to Thailand that often, probably 3 or 4 times a year. But right now, I can go there. I can communicate without Google Translation. I can read Thai books. I can write Thai languages. I can speak a little bit. But my listening skill is not that very good. And here is one of the video of a self-introduction I recently made using Thai language.
สวัสดีครับทุกคนผมชื่อสแตนลีย์ครับผมเรียนภาษาไทยด้วยตัวเองนะผมอ่านภาษาไทยได้เขียนภาษาไทยพูดนิดหน่อยแต่ก็บางครั้งฟังไม่เข้าใจนะเพราะว่าผมอาศัยอยู่ที่สิงคโปร์ไม่มีคนคุยด้วยนะผมเป็นวิศวกรและนักธุรกิจผมมีธุรกิจอยู่หลายที่ทุกเดือนผมไปมาไปสิงคโปร์ฮ่องกงไต้หวัน
So that's my Thai language. It's not very good, but it's a starting point. Apart from just putting myself in the shoes of a learner, it's also critical and very important for our team to really do a lot of research when we build a product. So in the building of Chinese language product, for example, we had to research the textbook from Singapore, Hong Kong, Beijing, and Taiwan. And also some of these textbooks talk about the ancient character development of the Chinese. So when you are trying to build the language product at KooBits, we have several objectives to consider. Apart from the language skills, like listening skills, speaking skills, we also need to be mindful that we also want to help the children to score well in exams. So we also have to prepare a lot of content that's going to help them to do well in school. And lastly, we also want to give more visibility to parents because parents play a very important role at home to support their child's language learning. So apart from these few language skills, like writing, listening, reading, speaking, we also have to map these skills to what the schools are testing our children in terms of the exam formats. For example, they have grammar MCQ, grammar close, and all of these different forms of questions they need to tackle in school. And we need to further break down all of these exams, assessments, and practice into smaller language skills that they need to develop, such as tenses, sentences, paragraph, punctuation, capitalization, and map them back to each of these exam formats as well. Once the children have done the practice as KooBits, we gather a lot of data from all these specific learning skills, and we start to move them backwards into this visibility chart. So we can easily derive something that's so easy for parents to understand, like a child's language proficiency, and which part is her strength, which part is her weakness, and need more improvement. From the development of our language product, we also realized that there are some different prioritization among different language skills. For example, at the heart of our KooBits language products, we want to focus a lot more on first building up a very strong vocabulary base for the children, because without very strong vocabulary foundation, the children will not doing extremely well in writing or listening. Can you imagine the kids do not understand the word? How would the child comprehend the passage easily? Or the child doesn't understand all this vocabulary when they listen to somebody speaking, how can the child interpret correctly, right? So in this, we actually have a prioritization in terms of building up the language products in this sequence. So when we come to the vocabulary learning for the children, there are also an array of challenges we need to face. One of the most important challenges we need to solve is how can we let the children to achieve higher retention, to memorize these vocabularies without forgetting, even though they don't have a speaking environment of this second language. For example, this is Singapore's Chinese primary school higher Chinese curriculum, which requires almost 2,000 unique Chinese characters they need to memorize. And it looks very scary to the children. And when they learn these vocabularies and characters, we realize in different lessons, the characters are not sequenced in a very meaningful way, as I mentioned earlier in my personal experience. For example, the highlighted Chinese words are basically numbers: 1, 2, 5, 8, 7, 4, 10, and 3, and they learn in different lessons, and they learn in different period of time throughout the year, right? So this makes the memorization very difficult. So we want to solve some of these problems. So the first important work we need to do is to reorganize the data, right? So within the curriculum boundary, we built something called the KooBits vocab tree. It's basically a sequence of vocabularies that's arranged in a very meaningful, progressive way. So that when you learn one vocabulary, we make sure that, the root word about this vocabulary has already been taught to the child before that. For example, this is a sequence of words they need to learn when they are using KooBits Chinese to help them with the Chinese learning. The first word we are teaching them is 1, 2, 3. Then they learn 日 and 月, which means sun and moon. Before they learn 1月, which means January, right? So when they learn 人 and 大中小, after they learn these words, then they can learn 大人, which means adults. So every single vocabulary they learned, we make sure that the root word and the easier vocabulary that construct that this vocab has been taught before. For example, in this root word, 书, which means book, we have to make sure the children learn the book first before they learn 书桌, 书签, which is desk and bookmark and all other things. So this will help them to retain the knowledge and without forgetting. Of course, beyond these simple data structures, we have developed a lot of other features, very interesting features to help children retain this knowledge when they are learning Chinese. So now I'm going to pass the mic to my colleague Ruth to introduce to you the very exciting and interesting features at KooBits Chinese and how we can help children not only just enjoy the Chinese learning, also to retain the knowledge and not forgetting the Chinese words. Ruth, please. Thanks.
everyone, I'm Ruth and I'll be sharing with you more about KooBits Chinese. So let's just take a look at the context of what our children are actually learning for KooBits Chinese. If you look at this chart that's summarized for us, it actually would require them at the end of 6 years to acquire 1,900 over words. And then if you see the picture at the side, it's actually a snapshot from the summary from the textbook. And these are all the words they have to learn throughout. So when you look at this, I think it's fair to say that it's daunting, not just for adults, but more so for the children who have to learn this. So this is definitely a key challenge that we have when we are doing the KooBits Chinese. And even more so for our second language learners, which is actually the context we are talking about in Singapore. So the backdrop of this slide, we can see all of the words, the 1,900 words they actually have to learn. So what are we going to do about this where it's very dry, it's really difficult to learn for second language learners? We've developed a system where we actually transform all these difficult words into something else. So just take a look at all this array of beautifully animated vocabulary cards, and they are also very memorable. So these cards are the system that we have come up with to actually help the children learn all this curriculum-assigned vocabulary throughout their Chinese learning. So there are 3 different approaches that we take when it comes to the vocabulary card. First of all, the most direct, illustration. We actually see 3 cards over here. The first one, 4, 4. You very directly see that there are 4 tree logs being placed by the character, and therefore also mimicking the form of the Chinese character. And then for the second card, what we have here is a horse, which is illustrated directly by a horse, of course. And then lastly, we have umbrella. We see the picture directly of an umbrella. This gives our young learners a visual association, which directly helps them remember the word they have to learn. For the second approach, we'll be using humor. And why is that so? Because research has shown us that when we evoke emotion, we actually remember a lot better. So we chose humor, which applies very well to children and for adults as well. So we look at the 2 cards here for the example. First one, 小, which is small. And we actually animate it by having a huge Miko stepping on a tiny, tiny character. So this is funny, and it would help our learners actually remember the meaning of small. Similarly, for the second one, we have the character, Chang'e, tapping away on the sun, telling the sun, hey, you know, it's time for you to knock off, because now it's then what? It is nighttime. So 晚字, in this very cute and funny way, helps our learner to remember the word 晚, night. And thirdly, this one is important, demonstrating. And why is that so? Because when we are using words to explain a new word, it might require a lot more words and sentences for the learner to understand. Instead of that, what we can do is just show them. For example, the very first word we see here, 穿, which is to put on. The learner can very directly see the action being done, and they are able to understand it instantaneously. So likewise, for the second example of 抢, to snatch something out of someone's hand. And it's very evidently shown here by the coin being snatched out of the character's hand. And thirdly, over here, we have a natural phenomenon, which is 雷, thunder. So by seeing it directly, demonstrating, the learner is able to remember. So all this gives them a cognitive association to remember not just the meaning, but also the form of the word. So let's just look at this card. Fairly simple and straightforward. What do we have here? Fire, 火. So just by seeing this card, you now understand the word fire. Now you already have the impression and the knowledge of this word. When I show you the second card, now you have a fire inside a glass bottle with a lid on top of it. What happens to the fire now? It is extinguished. That's right. So now, because you already know fire, when you see this card, you are able to draw the conclusion that, with a lid on top, it means to extinguish. 灭，火的上面加一个盖子，就把它灭掉了。So now you are armed with not 1 but 2 cards. when you see the third card. So for this one, you see fire atop of a man's head. So then, because you already have the prior knowledge, you would be able to deduce, okay, a fire on top of a man's head. Probably not something very positive. He looks frustrated. So then we know this card means 烦, you're frustrated. So all this leads you up to this process of when you see a new card, you actually progressively build up and will be able to understand complex words. Should you now encounter this new card in the box that is without a vocab card, 烦恼, because you already know 烦, you therefore will be able to logically deduce it's something to do with frustration, worries. So this is the essence of why it's so important for us to have all these beautifully done up, animated and memorable cards. Let me show you just one more example. So now from the very first example of illustration, we have the horse, correct? So now we have a horse, fairly straightforward. And then you learn the next word, which is a door, 门. And you might think, okay, a door, a horse, I know that. What about now? We see a horse rushing through a door. So that in itself means the meaning to barge, 闯. And it is very evident to you. You could see it not just only from the card, but also the form. The horse is actually within 门, the character 门. So this illustrates my point of how our vocabulary cards help our users to progressively build up and have more and more complex vocabulary. Now this brings me to my next point. So how are we using KooBits? How does KooBits Chinese work? So we have all these beautiful cards. Wonderful. So how do we use it? How does it work? So firstly, we know that for language, we need continual, consistent practice, exposure to the language in order to keep the language alive in your mind. So for that, we have the daily words of the day. You have the choice of 5 to 10 words being served to your child where you can get to learn different Chinese words. So for this, we actually have two parts to it. Let me just show you the first one. So for this portion, you would see that there is a vocabulary card that's being shown, and there is also the feature of how to write. So this option actually teaches your child the correct stroke sequence when you are writing the character. As for how to pronounce it, we have two different ways. Firstly, they can refer to the Hanyu pinyin that is shown atop of the character, or they can look at the trumpet icon, just click on it, it would sound it out for them. So there are various features to support the learning of the character. And moving on, the second portion of the words of the day is actually the vocabulary card. This is where your child actually gets a card without the character, and they are to write out the correct answer. But fret not, there is actually the option of a clue by way of the Hanyu pinyin. Also, we have the variety of input methods. It could be either written by your child under the 米字格, the grid, or your child could type by Hanyu pinyin, which you see here. So there is a variety of input methods that will help your child to be able to input the Chinese and work on the different aspects of the language learning. Because through even inputting Hanyu pinyin, your child gets to practice character recognition, what is the correct Hanyu pinyin, all through these words of the day. So why do we do words of the day as a daily 5 to 10 words? Because it is essential in helping us to beat the forgetting curve. Even as right now, day and age, even for adults, there are many things we will forget. What more for children when it is something that is not the most natural to them as a second language learner. So when we have this system where we have a spaced repetition, we serve up the words at different intervals so that they are able to remember them, we serve it right before they forget. So this process helps them to actually also commit these words to their long-term memory. And that is the beauty of words of the day. So next, what about other types of continual exposure and habit that we want to help a child build for their language learning? For that, there is the daily challenge. Your child will be served 10 curriculum-aligned questions in a variety of question type, and they will be able to get the opportunity to practice daily and have the exposure. So here is an example of one of the question type in our daily challenge. So over here, you can see that I have highlighted that there's a trumpet icon as well, and the other translate icon. So for the trumpet icon, you can click on that so that it would actually narrate the question to you. As for the translate function, we do understand as well that not everyone may feel competent or they may need additional support in terms of Chinese supporting their child's Chinese learning. So taking the example of translation, let's just take a look. From the previous question that we originally saw in Chinese, it is now beautifully translated in Bahasa Indonesian. So this is an additional part, a feature that we can utilize to support your child further. Next, for this, I am sure all of us have heard the refrain of, to improve on your language, you need to read, read, and read. But what do we read? What more if it's in a language that you may not be the most familiar with? What books do you buy? What books do you borrow? So for that, we have a variety of stories on our KooClass. So as you can see behind me, there is a library of stories across different themes. So it is not just a thematic system that we have. If you go into it, within each theme, it is actually organized by different ages as well. So within the same theme, you can choose the story that is actually suitable for your child. So over here, we can see that there is our Koo stories over here, and if you take a closer look, there are actually some of the words in a different font color. And why is that so? These characters or this vocabulary are actually from what they're learning in school, and through the stories, we reintroduce it to our children, helping them to see how these words are being applied in a different context, in a different narrative. And in addition, there is a moving pointer that your child can follow along as the story is being narrated to him or her. So this helps them to be able to follow through the different characters in their various adventures throughout the different themes. So over here, you actually see our beautiful illustration, a snapshot of it in our Koo stories. And this is Mia, who is a character that runs through all the different themes, which the children can have a sense of belonging and have a sense of identification as they go through different stories in our library of stories. So we will watch a very quick video of how it's like of our Koo stories, just that you can have a look of it in action.
营地里弥漫着一种紧迫感。蝶哥叹了口气说：“我们在热带稀树草原上发现了很多塑料，会严重影响动物。”米娅很震惊，我们要收集塑料，不能伤害动物。于是他们三个开始捡塑料，尽管天很热。他们还是决心保护大草原。
So for assessment, we do know that it is a very important part of language learning as well. So there is our mission content where it's organized by level as well as topics in the textbook. And in each topic, you can access the various exam type questions to help prepare your child for the assessments. So here is a snapshot of the various exam style curriculum aligned questions that we have prepared to partner you with ensuring your child's success in their language learning in the classroom and beyond. And last but not least, for 听写, the two words that many of us are very familiar with and could sometimes be a weekly challenge as well. We have 听写 on our parents app, which actually helps you and your child to take chance and to maximize and utilize your pockets of time here and there. Be it waiting for your turn at the Hai Di Lao restaurant, waiting for your turn at the clinic. You can use all these 10 to 15 minutes of time to actually help your child to prepare for his or her 听写. We have preloaded spelling lists according to the levels that you can choose to use, or you could upload your child's spelling list from their own school to prepare them for the test. So with that, I would like to share that ultimately we want our children to not only master but to love and enjoy the process of learning Chinese, and to make them grow into confident and independent learners that will put them in a good state in the AI days that we are right now. Thank you.
Whoa, it's wonderful to see how KooBits is bringing joy and confidence to language learning, especially in Chinese.
Yes, I love how they show the balance between fun and mastery. And that same spirit drive how we'll build our math and science experiences too.
Exactly. Hello everyone, I'm Minghui from the School Partnership team.
And I'm Xingyi from the content team.
In the next few minutes, we will take you through what we have achieved this year and what's coming next to make learning and teaching more rewarding for you and your students.
Let's start with what we have achieved this year. 2025 had been a milestone year for us to strengthen our fundamentals, what we call our bread and butter.
We spent the year checking every question, every topic to ensure what your student practices align tightly with the latest curriculum update.
Right, in Singapore, we've updated our curriculum to follow the latest syllabus. For example, we all know that the racial topic have been moving from P5 to P6, and we are getting ready for next year P6 alignment.
And in Hong Kong, we raised our content quality, sharper question design, better scaffolding, and improved question progression for deeper reasoning.
Exactly. And across the region, we have added more challenging content and reorganized our core curriculum, so teachers can find what fits each student more easily, be it to close learning gaps or to stretch higher ability students.
All this is about making differentiated learning more practical and seamless in real classrooms.
And to keep that momentum of differentiated learning, we've enhanced our most popular feature, Daily Challenge. It can now support multi-curricular, serving students from different regions with the right level of challenge each day.
It's simple yet powerful. Relevant questions every day help build the habit of practice, strengthening both consistency and confidence.
And to take differentiated learning even further, next year we will be splitting the challenging question into a new syllabus for a clearer distinction. Teachers, you will love this. No manual sorting by ability or curriculum. Now, let's talk about science. If you teach science, you will know that how tough open-ended questions can be for students. They understand the concept, but when it comes to writing, they freeze.
That's exactly what we set out to solve this year, making open-ended practices less intimidating and more approachable.
We've redesigned the whole experience with a scaffolded approach. Longer questions are broken into bite-sized parts so that students can attempt them step by step instead of skipping them entirely.
And each part has small fill-in-the-blank responses that reduce cognitive load and yet still require rigorous thinking, so students gain confidence as they go.
We also understand that marking is shifting to reward understanding of concepts, but to uphold strong learning standards, we have included key science vocabularies students should master for each topic.
And we embedded the CER framework, claim, evidence, reasoning, into most solutions. This teaches students how to structure their answer clearly, a skill that translates directly into exam success.
The results has been so encouraging. Teachers tells us that their students are attempting the questions more on their own, and they are writing with greater clarity and confidence.
That's why we call this one of our most meaningful improvement of the year, turning a long-standing pain point of teachers and students into a powerful learning breakthrough. So that wraps up our achievement in 2025. Stronger curriculum alignment, a breakthrough in science learning, and more personalized daily practices.
Now, let's look ahead, because 2026 is shaping out to be truly exciting.
And everything we are building comes directly from students, parents, and most importantly, teachers, your feedback.
First up, improve security. We all know how important it is for every child's learning space to stay safe and personal.
Yes, we are adding a parent-activated security layer so that each account is better protected. This ensures learning data is accurate and give parents peace of mind.
And for teachers, it means you can trust that the progress that you see is truly the student's own work. Next, streaks. We can't wait for this one. Students will still see how many days in a row they have completed their KooBits activity.
It's a simple visual cue that makes learning consistent in the best way. Students feel proud, keeping their streak alive.
We're excited to see how this will motivate students to practice regularly and to celebrate consistency.
And for teachers, that means more engaged learners without extra reminder from you.
We are also expanding our interactive visual manipulative. Why? Because teachers love them.
These are dynamic visual tools in the teacher's portal that helps you demonstrate complex math concepts instantly and visually. And if your classroom has an interactive board, it's even more exciting to use them live with your students.
No more drawing diagrams or switching between apps. You have ready-to-use visual resources within KooBits to bring concepts to life.
It's a way of giving teachers more time to teach and less time preparing material.
And finally, weighted exam creation. This one has been on many teachers' wish lists.
Yes, you can assign different weights to different questions when you create tests and quizzes. No questions are equal, and now your assessment can reflect that.
The system will handle the marking automatically, saving hours of marking.
It's smart, it's flexible, and it helps teachers to focus what matters most, guiding and teaching.
So, that's a glimpse of what we have done and what's upcoming.
From curriculum alignment to science innovation and new tools that help you save time. Everything you have seen today comes from listening to teachers like you.
Your feedback and partnership are what keeps KooBits moving forward. We are so thankful for your trust and support over the years.
Thank you for being part of this journey and for making a difference in every child's learning story.
Thank you.
Welcome to KooBits Fluency, the most comprehensive factual fluency practice for your students. With KooBits, you can now easily engage your students with factual fluency practice in classroom. Here's how it works. You choose the topic, time, and number of questions from KooBits software. The practice is ready to play. Your students are ready to write down their answers on paper before you click the Start button. When it starts, questions are displayed on screen automatically at set intervals. Students answer these questions. When it finishes, students switch answer sheets with their friend. Now you can display the answers on screen for students to do peer marking. With KooBits, you can also assign the factual fluency practice as an e-learning homework. Students complete the time-based challenge at home, and you can view the results instantly. Mistakes are grouped so that you can give differentiated instructions effortlessly. With KooBits, it's that simple.
Hello, My name is Celesta. I'm the content lead for English here at KooBits. Today, I want to take you behind the scenes of our development process at KooBits. I will share with you some pedagogical insights that guided us to develop KooBits English and how we are making learning accessible to every learner in every classroom. KooBits English was built on a core vocabulary syllabus which organizes vocabulary into themes, all anchored in Singapore's Ministry of Education curriculum. These themes are relevant and age-appropriate for primary school-aged children. But you might be asking a very fair question. Why Singapore? Why anchor our KooBits curriculum in this small nation? And exactly how does Singapore's standard of English compare on the global stage? To answer this question, we can look to a couple of universal references. Firstly, Singapore ranked third globally out of 116 countries in the 2024 EF English Proficiency Index, which is the world's largest ranking of English skills. Secondly, we can also map this proficiency to the CEFR, which stands for the Common European Framework of References for Languages. Now, for those of us here who are not familiar, Singaporean students in government schools take an exam called the PSLE when they are in primary 6. PSLE stands for Primary School Leaving Examination, and it is a nationwide standardized exam. And based on our own mapping against the indicators from the CEFR companion volume, a student who passes PSLE demonstrates B1, B2 skills. This means that they can understand basic ideas of texts and write connected narratives. But a student who does really well in PSLE is probably operating at a B2 level. This means that they can understand the main ideas of complex texts, make inferences, and produce cohesive compositions, which are all indicators of a B2 user. So what makes Singapore's English so strong? First, it starts with a rigorous standardized curriculum that creates a culture where high standards are not just an aspiration, but a benchmark for every school in the country. Second, it was a strategic national decision. From its independence 60 years ago, our founding fathers like Mr. Lee Kuan Yew established English as the nation's working language. But it wasn't just for education. It was a policy for economic survival. It unified a multicultural society and positioned Singapore as an English-speaking hub for global trade. This is why we are confident that Singapore's English syllabus provides a world-class foundation upon which to build KooBits English. But a world-class foundation is only the beginning. We are also aware that we have to make it accessible for non-English speaking users who are just starting to use English. So I would like to share with you how we are making that possible. Earlier, I mentioned that our vocabulary syllabus organizes words into thematic categories. While this is very useful in helping students to learn words through context, it is not entirely ideal because it does not take word difficulty into consideration. Therefore, we sought a solution to this, and we went back to the first principles of language acquisition to make this accessible for beginning learners and learners who are just starting out. Let me show you what I mean. If a user selects Start from Zero in Words of the Day, they will be guided by a pedagogy called systematic phonics. What this looks like is first introducing simple consonant-vowel-consonant words to place emphasis on decoding sounds. In this example, we place together words starting with S to show the S sound. Next, this is another example where we grouped the SH words to emphasize the sh consonant digraph. And this is words ending with CK to emphasize the K consonant digraph. And we also have an example of a vowel digraph here, E. These are just some examples, but we believe that it empowers learners to see patterns in English words to help them decode words independently and build confidence in word recognition. So you see, here at KooBits, as Stanley has also shared in the beginning, we place a lot of emphasis on how vocabulary is the building block of languages. These blocks are essential for language skills like listening, writing, reading, and speaking. And I would like to quote again renowned linguist David Wilkins, who said that without grammar, very little can be conveyed, but without vocabulary, nothing can be conveyed. And so you see, these blocks that we have, this vocabulary, makes the difference from being able to weave very simple sentences and paragraphs to be able to write beautiful stories or compositions. So the more words we have in our arsenal, the more tools we have for expression. This brings me to our next big development, one that tackles the biggest problem in a classroom: finding the right reading material for every child, especially in a mixed ability classroom. And we are so proud to introduce a project we are currently developing, KooBits A to Z. A to Z represents a spectrum of graded reading, from the easiest to the most complex. So if a student starts from level A, they will see books that probably contain 2 or 3 words per page. As a child moves up from levels B to C and all the way to Z, books will progressively feature more complex sentences, richer vocabulary, and deeper themes. To do this properly requires extensive linguistic research. We have developed our own proprietary leveling specifications that guide our writers and editors. These specs control for many factors like lexile, vocabulary density, sentence structures, and overall conceptual complexity. This ensures a smooth and perceptible progression for all our learners. So here's an example of what grade A and Q could possibly look like. As you can see, level Q definitely has more complexity in an expositional text type. So these specs are going to be what controls the difficulty progression in all our stories. And here are some examples of what the books look like. What I'm showing here is a book from level B and R. As you can see, these are 2 different books designed for very different ability levels. So just imagine, there will be suitable books for students from all language abilities. This is reading made accessible, and we are so excited to bring this to you. Now, this isn't just a KooBits English initiative. It is a KooBits language initiative. We are applying the same research-based approach to create a fully graded A to Z library for KooBits Chinese as well. So stay tuned for that. So you can see, here at KooBits, we endeavor to develop our content intentionally, with our users at heart. I would like to end with this quote from psychologist Lev Vygotsky, who said that the only good learning is that which is in advancement of development. This is our mission. Whether it's new tools, new content, or new features, we want to design them to find the perfect spot for every child, to not just make our content rigorous, but accessible to all learners. Thank you for being part of this journey with us.
Go, don't stop. Go, don't stop.
next I'll be sharing some of the highlights from our past events, such as Real World Math Challenge, Top Brain 300, and School Math Day. Let's start with the Real World Math Challenge. This was a huge success. We received over 350 creative submissions from users across 16 different countries around the world. So with these amazing submissions, we are now creating a brand new syllabus which will be ready to launch end of this year. This new content pool is truly special. It's created for the users, by the users. And of course, we also want to give a big thank you to all the teachers who helped us make this challenge possible in school. Moving on to one of our motivation program, the Top Brain 300. The Top Brain 300 is a termly leaderboard that rewards students for consistent effort throughout the term. So in the past term alone, we have more than 12,000 amazing kids who have earned this special award. We want to celebrate all their hard work and dedication. Every winner will receive a digital certificate right in their student portal. And lastly, we also have our school events that's happening throughout the year, all designed to boost students' motivations and create a sense of excitement of learning. We are excited to share that we have two upcoming challenges. Number one is the Great Math Comic Showdown. Number two, the Real World Math Challenge 2026. So if you have any ideas or suggestions, please feel free to let us know at the end of the sessions. We would love to hear from you. We also hope that teachers can help make learning more fun in the classroom and facilitate these events for students to explore, create, and shine. So here is the sneak peek. In the Math Comic Showdown, we'll be inviting the students to create their very own math questions in a fun and imaginative way. Because at KooBits, we believe math can be fun, adventurous, and full of imagination. So don't just learn math, make it come alive. Stay tuned to find out more. And yes, there will be more exciting prizes to be won. To share more about our latest innovation, please welcome our next speaker, Cody.
Hi. Let me begin with something that most English teachers would be very familiar with. English composition. And I guess every one of us here will be very familiar with the sight of the markings you see here. Basically something that we have to do almost every month, right? Marking compositions. Now, as teachers, we are very, very familiar with marking compositions, what to look out for, sentence structures that students would probably get wrong at each primary level, grammatical errors, common grammatical errors, spelling mistakes for common words that our children would likely get wrong, in the first few compositions when we are teaching. Now, as trained teachers, we can do this very easily. We know what to look out for in our years of experience teaching different types of students, different profiles of students, and stuff like that. But there's one small problem here that I think all of us would be able to understand. And it is that parents would not be able to do what we as teachers can do. They are probably not having that same teaching competency as us. They don't go through the teacher training. They do not have years of teaching experience. But at the same time, they really want to help their children with this thing called composition. Very difficult. Now, in some parents' minds, they may be so desperate. in helping their children, they would tell their children to write more compositions in the hopes of practice makes perfect. But we all know as teachers that that may not be true. Now at KooBits, we ask ourselves, how can we help our parents support their children in writing better compositions better? And for the longest time, we did not have a very satisfactory answer until today. Now, with a scan and a click of a button, KooBits AI is able to mark our parents' children's compositions and provide them with a very short summary of their general performance of the composition, including grammar, spelling, and even the general content of the composition. Now, as good teachers, and we all know, as with any good formative assessment, we cannot miss out timely remediation of mistakes. And so, KooBits AI also serves our children's mistakes one by one, bit by bit, for correction. Grammar, sentence structures, spelling mistakes. As we empower parents to empower their children to learn independently, to do their corrections independently, bit by bit, and this would never have been possible without AI. Now, success is the sum of small efforts, repeated day in and day out. No, we are not getting our children to do composition corrections day in and day out. But we do know that doing small corrections one at a time, just like what I have shown you, would eventually lead to our children getting better at writing better compositions. Eventually. Now, another thing that all of us teachers are very familiar with are these stickers that you can see here. Now, these stickers, I think back when I was teaching, every start of the year, I would go to the bookstore and pick up many packs of these stickers as positive encouragement for our children, right? They do something nice, they do something good, and we reward them with these stickers, right? We paste them on workbooks, exercise books, even on their exam papers, and some teachers actually use them in the class points system, rewarding one sticker at a time for 1 point for each group when they do something nice around the class and stuff like that. So we paste them everywhere. Now at KooBits, we do recognize the importance of such positive reinforcement, and so we do have our own stickers as well, as you can see here. But we all know that through the school year, as the school year progresses, you do notice that some students actually lose interest in these stickers. Just like how at KooBits, we do have data to show us that while we reward these stickers as positive reinforcement to our children to complete their daily practice at KooBits every single day, they do start to get a little bit inconsistent throughout the year. The question is, why? And we do realize that while it diminishes over time, the reason is because these positive reinforcement, these stickers that you see here, are predictable. They are generic. They have very generic positive encouragement phrases like good work, excellent, fantastic, and things like that. And at the start of the school year, it's really interesting, very novel, very different. But as time goes on, a kid receives 9 stickers called fantastic, and it starts to get a little bit boring. And that's where the novelty dies down. So children like us adults, we do crave mystery, novelty, and variety. And these stickers cut it for a while, and after that, it dies off. So at KooBits, we constantly ask ourselves, what can we do about this? And so, we have designed many various different types of stickers to see what sticks. And finally, we have this, a whole vast array of interesting fun facts on stickers. And we realized that our children on KooBits are actually looking forward to complete their daily practices to get one of these interesting fun facts. And every day has a different fun fact. And when they learn this interesting fun fact, what we do also notice is they will actually share with their friends and very excitedly go home and tell their parents. And we do receive a lot of positive feedback, and our data shows that as well. But we have just one very tiny problem. This tiny problem is that every single sticker that you see here, very beautiful, very nice fun facts, some science, some math, some English, everywhere. Somebody has to do extensive research on this, validate that these fun facts are indeed facts, create very interesting visual elements that will attract children, and then put them into a consistent format that we can deliver to the children. Nice stickers, right? We can't have low quality stickers, right? And that is just for one sticker, one unique sticker that cannot repeat. Because remember, novelty dies down if we repeat them. So, can you imagine I have one unique sticker for every single 4 subject that at KooBits we have for 365 days a year, and we cannot repeat this every year. So if a child stays with us for 6 years, that will be 365 days times 6 years. But let's just take an example of a year. Now, can a teacher like you and me design 4 stickers every day for each child? I think the answer is obvious. Because in a year, we would need 1,460 unique stickers designed. But today we can. Teachers like you and me can't do this. But somebody else can. And who is this person? This person is our very first AI agent at KooBits named Ping Jane Jr. Ping Jr. is named after its creator, our very talented chief animator at KooBits. He saw this problem, 1,460, he can't do it alone. So he needed somebody to help him. And that somebody cannot be human. So we created AI agent Ping Jr. Now, Ping Jr. is very interesting. Ping Jr. works very independently. It doesn't need somebody to manage him. Ping Jr. knows exactly that I need 1,460 stickers for this year, and I'm going to do it on my own. And he independently does all the research, right? Validate every single fun fact, make sure that it's accurate across all sources, create very suitable images, very attractive, and also children appropriate, puts them all together in appropriate format, and delivers them to our chief animator's inbox for his approval. And all he needs to do is to click one button called approve. And that's it. Now, some of you might be thinking, what if Ping Jr. makes some mistakes? Just like a human being. Now, all our chief animator needs to do is to not approve it, and Ping Jr. springs into action again, right? And independently does his corrections for our chief animator's approval once again. Again, just another click of the button and done. And what is the result? A different unique sticker for every subject, every single day, in a collection folder, as you can see here. Positive reinforcement that retains its novelty, variety, which never dies down. And that's exactly what we've envisioned and what we can do now with Ping Jr. Now, Ping Jr. has helped us to achieve this. There's a quote by B.F. Skinner, a very renowned educational psychologist, that most teachers would probably cross paths with once or twice in your lifetime. He's very well known and famous for his work in behaviorism. And one of the things that he said that stuck with me is that the consequences of an act affect the probability of its occurring again. And so, applying this to what we have done here is that if we really want a very high probability of our children at KooBits to come back to KooBits every single day for every subject to complete them, then we must really take very seriously the positive consequences that are associated with the completion act. And that is the retention of variety and novelty that our stickers have achieved, that Ping Jr. has given us the ability to do. Now, the last thing about AI that I want to talk about. Now, everybody is very excited about AI, very thinking about all the wonders that we can do about AI. Now, you have noticed that along the way, my team members and I in this KooConnect, we have spoken about or mentioned some educational psychologists, some quotes, some wise words that we have gained from heavyweights in the educational fraternity. And that exactly forms the core of KooBits, something that AI cannot replicate. Now, Stanley at the start of our KooConnect has mentioned about fundamentals. We deliver fundamental core subjects to every single child that we can reach. And I would like to go back to fundamentals in how we are designing KooBits, learning experiences for our children. The fundamental lies in these design principles, philosophies, that we are standing on the giants, the shoulders of the giants, to deliver these engaging learning and effective learning experiences to our children, which AI cannot replace. And with that, I thank you for your time.
As we wrap up the KooConnect 2025, we want to thank all the speakers for sharing their insights and expertise today. To all the participants, principals, and teachers, thank you for joining us. We hope that you leave the session feeling energized, inspired, and motivated to explore all the new possibilities in education. Before we say goodbye, we would love you to stay connected and share your thoughts. Please scan the QR code on the screen to stay connected with our upcoming events and give us your feedback. Thank you.